Welcome to the Mom CEO podcast. I'm your host, Esther Roche. Join me as we explore the dynamic intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship. From the challenges to the triumphs, we're here to unravel it all. Get ready for insightful conversations, practical wisdom, and a whole lot of inspiration. Let's embark on this empowering journey together. Hello and welcome to the Mom CEO. I'm your host, Esther Roche, and today I'm joined by Divya Gupta. Hello, Divya. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Esther. So glad to be here, and thank you for having me.
No, you're very welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Divya Gupta. I'm a functional holistic nutritionist. I help busy individuals who are tired of conventional methods and are looking for a future better than their parents. So really helping them find personalized solutions so they can start living life on their terms. And this was my story. That's how I got into the space, and now I absolutely love helping women and men, really get healthier and stop. I'm so tired of conventional approaches. We'll get into my story and how I got here and everything, but yeah, that's me.
Oh, thank you, Divya. You forgot one thing though. You're a mom.
Oh yes.
Stops.
I know. Yes, that's just in like that. Yes, I'm a mom. I have a 8.5-year-old son, and yes, our life revolves around him. Like for most parents, our life revolves around them, and I think I'm constantly thinking, I hope I'm not screwing up. I hope I'm not screwing up. And I have to model the behavior that I want him and not tell him, you're trying to grow yourself and be a better parent. But, I'm so lucky to have a great husband. We are in it together. So it really helps out, though we have our differences, the way we parent, because we all come with our own parenting. So that's always, but I think now we've figured it out. Yes, I'm a mom. Thank you for reminding me. because I woke up. No, I woke up. I was before we started recording. It's 8 a.m. where we are. I am in California, San Jose, California. But I always get up early because he has summer camps going on here. I want to make sure I get his breakfast, lunch, snack all done. Got my yoga in, and so I can start my work day.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm sure this is what all moms do, right? We figure it out. That's important to me. I don't want to give up on what I need to do, so we make it work.
No, you do. And it sounds like you've got it sussed out. Like I always say to a lot of the guests when we have a conversation, nobody has a manual, and you do what works for you, and you'll set up family. And you've got your schedule, you wake up early. Some people are sort of late risers, but then they stay up. they stay up later, working much later. So it's whatever works for you. So that's fantastic. So I'm interested in understanding the story. Your journey you didn't just wake up and decide to start your holistic nutritionist and wellness coaching. You had a journey to get you to that stage. Tell us a bit about that story.
Yes, absolutely. I wish I knew this is what I wanted to do when I grew up, but I'm a traditional, very stereotypical Indian immigrant. I came to the US, 20 years ago for my master. So I'm a computer science engineer. So that's what I studied. That's what we all are, right? We're engineers, doctors, or lawyers. So I became an engineer, and I came to the US for my master's. And after that, I started working in corporate America. That's the dream, right? The American dream. We start working, and I worked in New York City. I worked for a top four consulting firm, and my corporate career is going pretty well. Like from all outside, like inside, I wasn't like feeling it was a soul sucking job. I wasn't happy, but it's paying the bill, more than the bills, all good. But it's sometimes when I really believe when you don't take the step, the universe makes things happen to take you the path. I totally believe that. So my journey with my own health started when I was just 20. I was still in India. I lost my gallbladder. We won't get into the details, but it was one fine day having gallbladder pain and attacks, seemingly healthy 20-year-old, nothing that seemed like stood out. But long story short, after a few months, the doctor said, "Oh, you have gallstones. We'll just take it out." Honestly, I didn't know what a gallbladder was at that point or what it did. Like it's a body, what its function. Just take it out, get me out of this pain. And again, life went on, and when I came to the States in my mid 20s, 24, 25, I get diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune condition that ends up attacking your thyroid, and that leads to hypothyroidism. And even like now, I know there's a connection between the gallbladder and the thyroid and the liver because nothing in the body ever works on its own. But even then, I was so young and naive. Like, even prior to getting the diagnosis, I was dealing with a lot of the hypothyroidism symptoms. If you have some of your audience, like moms, especially it's very common in women because of it's very X chromosome related. That's why it's a lot more common in women than men. But I used to be tired all the time. I would sleep for 10 hours, still wake up. As a young 20-year-old, you're like, I need 10, 12 hours of sleep. Like, what's wrong? My legs would hurt. My husband, my boyfriend at that point, I'm like, just press my legs. Just press my legs. I couldn't, and you just don't think much about it.
Oh, wow.
Finally, after I got my diagnosis, even then, the doctors just spent 5 or 10 minutes with you. And here's a medication, here's a diagnosis, off you go. Nobody's talking about your lifestyle or your nutrition or why did this happen or is this it? And the thing was, my mom also had Hashimoto's. She also had a gallbladder removed, even though she didn't have any pain. It was taken out because she had a lot of stones. And somehow, after I got my autoimmune diagnosis, I don't know, Esther, what connected. I'm like, it's like as if I'm watching. Actually, when I got my diagnosis of Hashimoto's, she got a diagnosis of a second autoimmune condition. She got rheumatoid arthritis along with Hashimoto's. And I don't know if you're aware of it, you've heard, you've seen, it's a painful condition, because it starts attacking your joints. So her wrists, it's weird, like, the bone in the chin, the knuckles, the weird places, the pains, and it starts, and it was extreme. Like, I really saw her life, just the pain, like, it just, you can't do it. It's just, you're in a box, you're just managing the pain with a lot of steroids. She couldn't really do the things she loved, but forget about that. Even the normal day-to-day chores were quite hard. And that's when I was like, okay, if I don't make any changes, I'm following her footsteps and I need to make a change. Like, this doesn't look right. So that's what got me into, for my own health, started looking at, okay, what can I do? What changes can I make? What is under my control? And this was a long time ago, maybe 12, 15 years ago, where I didn't know, am I supposed to look at gut health? Like, what are we supposed to be Googling? But, one thing, okay, I know food is something I could control because I was traveling, I was in consulting. So I was like traveling 3, 4, 5, which is like 3 nights away, 4 days a week, I'm out. So I started really like focusing, okay, when I'm traveling, started changing my diet, took out gluten, took out dairy out of my diet for a week. And I'm like, that's when I realized I used to be bloated all the time because you get used to living a certain way. So I know this, not everyone who goes through my journey, decides to change path, but it didn't happen overnight. But I just felt like these little changes that I was making, I was feeling better. My weight was coming down. Like, with hypothyroidism, you tend to gain a lot of weight, your metabolism slows down. And I felt good, and I just wanted to know more. And never in a million years, I thought I could just switch careers. My parents spent thousands of dollars on my education. I'm earning 6 figures. And I'm like, no, I'm going to start something new. But I came across this nutrition consulting program, and I'm like, I just wanted to get into it to learn for myself. I just loved it. So I went back to school while I was working full time, while my son was 3, I think, at that point.
Wow.
And I just, it just, it didn't feel like work, but I was enjoying it. And then I'm like, okay, maybe someday I will, then people started, naturally started coming, hey, what are you doing? Help me. So while I started doing it as a side hobby, side hustle, and then a couple of years ago, like the corporate job was just, as I said earlier on, right? When you don't do it, the universe will make it happen. The politics at work, the corporate drama. And I was like, I just felt my soul was like somebody was sucking my soul out of me. I'm like, this is not who I am. I can't. I just am like, okay, I'm done. I quit, and I really fully transitioned into my functional holistic business. So sorry, a long-winded answer to your question, but this is how I got here. It took me a while.
But the thing is, with your answer, the way it is, it's so comprehensive and it's helping somebody else who might be listening right now, thinking, how am I going to get out of this situation? And one of the things, I commend is that you didn't sit there and think, okay, yes, my parents have spent a fortune on my training, so I just have to stick to this. You've suddenly found yourself transitioning to something else that you love and I enjoy.
Absolutely. This doesn't feel like work. I'm sure you do it, when you help our clients and then they feel the emails, it just fills you up with joy. They have better energy or they're meeting their health goals and whatever business goals that you're helping them with. It's such a satisfaction. And I decided that's one life and my education doesn't go for waste. If anybody, I still leverage it, right? You still have gained skills and knowledge that I can start implementing into my business. So life is too short to stay unhappy in something that you don't want to do.
That's so true. But, from everything that you've said, what advice, before we move on from this, have to another woman, another mum who wants to do something, but they don't quite know how to, because, there's a few things there which we're looking at from the transition, because you didn't just start your business, you didn't just quit your job and have no money and just start your business. You kind of like planned it and sort of went out when you were ready, despite the pressures at work. So what kind of advice would you have for somebody else who is not in that situation?
Yes, that's a great question. And no, you're absolutely right. It was, luckily, my husband was in a full-time job that really helped support me. So I know I could, when I did take the step, yes, we were taking a huge, I was going from X to basically zero, right? We were investing into minus, you're investing into the business, into the systems and processes and everything else. So that really helped, and having that foundation that helped to make that decision easier. But for everyone listening, it's like going inside, like listening to your gut. If there's something that's tugging you that you got to be doing something else, or your passion could be in anything, to start paying attention. Very often we get into the superficial, the bills that we need to pay. Everyone, moms have kids, we have to take care of that. That's understandable. Everyone's situation is different, but just to whatever makes you happy. It doesn't have to be as a career. Even if it's a class, even if you're doing it for fun, find joy. Because that joy, you're going to bring it into your family's life and into your life. So start there. And if you are thinking of a business or something that you love to do, businesses take time. Even I'm not where I want to be eventually, but everyone sees the success stories. Nobody sees the years and years of work that goes behind it. It's starting small. And if you're passionate about it, it's going to come out. And these days, with social media, your own personal network, there's so much availability to get the word out, just to start. Don't be afraid, just start. Even if you fall, you're going to learn something and do something else. Failure is just not an option. That's my mantra. Failure is not an option. I'm just going to learn something and keep moving on. So I don't know, if that helps, but yeah, just go and just be smart about it. Obviously take care of the basics, what you need to, food, shelter, all of those things are taken care of, and then go head first, jump in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that does, apply to anybody who's trying to kind of set themselves up and do something, because a lot of the times you mentioned something there about, it's not, you don't start up there and there's no overnight success. Most of the times you see that end story, but you haven't actually got the details of the whole journey and where somebody's where did they start? How many times did they fall? If they did fall over, and did they keep going? What was there enough passion to keep them driving? But also, importantly, I think what I like in your situation as well is that support you have with your husband. And as a family, just having that support is important, because some people out there haven't got that support, and it's hard.
Yeah, it is. I agree. Like, I don't know what I would have done, especially having like I live away from my family. So my family is in India. So it takes a village, as you know, to raise a child, whether you have one or two or as many, you need the support system. So, and it's expensive to hire help. That's the fact. And we live in California, so it's not easy to just hire help. You could, but I'm one of those parents, like, I just didn't feel comfortable just outsourcing everything, right? So, and being a nutritionist, and I was really like focused on the food and very staying on top of it, because I'm like, that comes first. So it is hard. So it's not easy. You want to, because I wouldn't be happy just being successful in my business and my son is not taken care of, or I think I'm not doing my best. So it takes a village. So between a support system, and I do have some family, or if needed in emergencies, we do have. But yeah, I don't know. The days are long, but the years are short, as they say, once you become a parent.
Yeah, but you've clearly done it without, obviously there is a limited amount of support and help that you have, and you've kind of managed to navigate your way around it and work around the resources that you have, and I think that's important, isn't it?
It is. That's why I don't have a second one. I'm like, how am I supposed to do it? I'm like, how is it going to work? I have only two hands, and but no, that's just a personal choice, and but it did, like, that also played into the role I was, because the way I think and my husband think about adding on, I'm like, how my business is my baby. That's taking so it is hard. The resources are limited, and schools and pickups and drop-offs that everyone goes through. But then I tell myself, I'm not doing something that is unique. Everyone deals with it, right? Either we can become the victim of a situation, or just figure it out. Okay, everyone is dealing with it. Okay, let's figure a way out. That's my mantra. Like, cry for a minute, and then get out of it. Okay, how can we solve this? And there's always a solution.
No, there is. And there is, I think it's just taking that moment. You have to breathe, take the time, and kind of think about it, not rushing anything and stuff. But, obviously, as a business, that's still growing, you didn't start with a team around you. What would you say about, obviously, I know sometimes there is this fear or this element of thinking, well, I'm going to start a business and I need to hire 20 people for my business straight away. And it's not always possible to do that, financially and loads of other things. What sort of advice do you have, because you've had to operate as a solopreneur for part of your business life?
Yeah, and I'm glad I did, I would say, because I first want to do everything in my business so I understand it. Like, what does it need to understand? You have to get your hands dirty. So whether it was technology, yes, initially I started building my own website because I was comfortable with it. Though after a certain point, then you just hire a contract. Okay, I don't have the time, or the design skills are not there. Okay, very strategically, okay, I'm just going to hire somebody just to complete the website. But initially, like, I want to do every aspect of it. So you understand what it takes. You understand what's your voice. Because even if you hire somebody, like, what are they going to do if you're not clear what needs to be done? So I think that was important. And I still do a lot of the marketing, the tech, the content writing. A lot of it still I'm doing. I do have a VA now that helps me with some of the builds or some of the funnel building aspect of it, now that I've hired, because, okay, that's not my skill set. It's not something that I enjoy, and it's going to take me way long to do it. Even I know I can figure it out, but my time is not worth spending there. So now finally I have a VA that helps me with that. And after like 2, 3 years, a graphics person where, okay, I need some graphics. And I do have Canva, and I know there's so much you can do on your own. But it's like, is there where I want to spend my time or want to spend talking to clients or getting in front of them? So those are the two aspects that I right now I have people, but for the most part, I was building all my decks, all of the technology, and there's so much information these days. You know, the AI.
Yeah.
Thanks to AI, I know you. There's a reason. I know you're doing some episodes on that too. But AI has made content writing so much easier. You can start adding. You know, that used to take a long time. Like writing an email, newsletter, a blog would take hours, editing, but now that's made it easier. But that will be my next hire at some point down the road, because it takes, there's so many glasses of wine I need to do and get into get into the flow. But yes, yeah, starting a business, yeah, financially too, it just didn't make sense earlier on to hire, because I was like putting in my own savings into it. So if you can, great, but then you have to really know what exactly do you want out of it, and for the investment, what are you going to get out of it? So if maybe there's a time and place, some people can absolutely do it, but get your hands dirty first.
No, I like that, because I was exactly the same. And even, starting off with the website and everything. And yeah, as you get on, you upgrade and get better and better. But what that helped me to do is have an understanding of my business, but also understand my shortfalls, like what I'm really good at and what I'm not so good at. And you kind of know where the gaps are in order to and maybe outsource that particular stuff. And would you say you had any challenges at all during the time you've been setting up?
Oh, how many? We can do a whole podcast episode on challenges, right? Like, first of all, being a mom, like my son is 8 years old now, but so because when I'll go back, when I started, not, when he was born, I was still in my corporate America job. And that itself was like that 8 to 5. And I used to commute. And I know UK has a much better maternity leave policy. Esther, I went back to work after 14 weeks, and that was a lot at that point. And I remember I had an hour and a half journey each way with my pumping bag, pumping at work 2, 3 times a day, and that it and and then an hour and a half, and then you have a nanny at that point, like you have to do that. That was hard. You felt like, why? That's when I was like, why am I? That sort of started the little seed, like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
You spend like 2, 3 hours, and he was like 4 months at that point. And even then, that was not enough. I remember, like, little incidents where I have to take calls when I'm pumping, and that became an issue with the manager or the client. I'm like, okay, it's not a video call, obviously. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I'm trying to work and provide food, and do everything. And sometimes it was hard. Like, sometimes you think women would understand you better, but I just felt the opposite. Women were harder on us.
I think, it depends on the person, because, like, I know they have a good maternity system here, but when you work for yourself, which I've done for a long time, with my second one, I went back to work when she was 10 days old.
Wow.
It's kind of like you do what you have to do at the time. But now when I look back at it, I think, how the hell did I manage to do that? You kind of think about it and think, oh my gosh, how did I do that? Because your body is still healing. Your body, you've just brought a life in after 9 months. It's such a massive transition and change to suddenly just go back and we do what we have to, and we somehow manage and cope.
It's crazy. It takes 9 months to make a life. You need at least 9 months to recover, and it's a lot of pressure that you put on ourselves. At least when you work for yourself, I'm not saying it's any easy. You do what you can, and at least you're doing it for yourself. Here, back there, I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm getting appreciated for like a salary job, right? But it is hard. and that's the time to hire help, right? Maybe if you can, it's to get some help to keep the business going. But it is scary, like, if you're not front and center, you're not pumping out content, you're not getting those calls, discovery calls in, then you're taking such massive steps back, and then you have to come back. Can you really take them? It's hard, and nobody knows after I still have PTSD from post, like the few months after. It was so hard. Like, the mood, your depression, you're not really back. You
Yeah.
don't understand what's going on, especially at the first time. No matter how many times you go it, your body you are a different person. You are older as well. So yeah, it's crazy what expectations society has, what we have on ourselves. And, same, I want to be my own person. I want to be successful, but then you're also a mom, you're also a wife, you're also a parent, like in our daughter. Yeah, I know, like, going back to your question, the challenges starting the business is like, how do you balance it all off? I definitely have a lot more flexibility, which I love with my son. Like, I dictate my hours, but then there are times it's like, okay, so like when I need to do this, when I need to, like, it's never perfect, like I wouldn't have been able to do it with my husband even now. Like, he is out doing what needs to be done. So there's always challenges, and I try not to. I just look at opportunities. We need to get better. I'm showing him, like, if you're doing the things you love, what you need to do, you figure it out. And, hopefully I'm modeling that behavior to him. So when he grows up, he figures out, hey, I have a life. Like, if I have to work out, I have to work out.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to give up all of me and just do that. And then the kids, when they grow up, that's what they're going to do. You need to take care of yourself. You make those as priority, and you draw those boundaries. No matter who comes in your life, you need to do what you need to do. So that's how I tell myself. I'm showing him that you need to do this. Even when I remember when he was little, I would do my yoga and he would be climbing up on me. I'm like, and he's seen me do that. Now he leaves me alone because he's like, I'm not going to budge. I'm not going to leave and go attend to him, even if you're crying. You're fine. So those are the challenges. And obviously there's a growing business.
Yeah.
Is, the revenue, right? How much revenue bringing in as a family, where I was. So that's, I'm just competing with it. I'm my own challenge, comparing myself to where I need to be. And then you see what's out there and how other people are doing it, and you start comparing yourself. Then there's an imposter syndrome that comes in. Like, there are days I just want to give up. I'm like, I don't think this is too hard. uh, I might sit and binge on Netflix a day, and then get back to it.
And it's so bad, honestly, with comparison, because I think that's another thing that stops a lot of people in their tracks, because you kind of think, oh my God, that one is doing so much better than me. But again, it's not knowing the story. You don't know the journey that this other business person is on. And, we're all on different journeys. We go at different speeds. And there's no time limit for anybody. You take your pace and get there when you get there. And that's how we do it. So just for an understanding, with your coaching, how do you do it? If you just explain to the audience, because obviously I'm sure there'll be some people that want to reach out to you and connect with you. How does that work?
Yeah. So, I'm on Instagram, I'm on email. People can reach out to me, can set up do a 30-minute strategy session, just because I want to get to know the person with what's going on with their health, what are they dealing with, and what are their goals. So we get to chat about that. So I really like to get the health history, because I've noticed, Esther, across all my clients and the number of hundreds of people I've spoken to, nobody I really sit down to hear you connect the dots for them, because nothing that's happened to them has happened overnight or within the last month or last year. That's always been your body is always giving you clues or nudges that something is off or something is going on. We just haven't been paying attention, or, there are over-the-counter medications you can take, even as simple as bloating. Why it's not normal. Seasonal allergies, it may seem common that everyone has, but it's not normal. So I really like to get to understand what's going on with them, help them connect the dots to see, because I even go back to at the time of their birth. If you're a C-section versus a vaginal birth can also help set up your immune system. That's how we get introduced to our immune system through when we pass through our mom's vaginal canal. So once I get to understand what's going on, what are the health goals, health challenges, and if I am the right person to help them, and then that's when we get started working. And health, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And we all want a magic pill, but there isn't. So I typically work in 6 months or 3 month packages, depending on where they are in the health journey. And that's when we really dive deeper into, I do a lot of functional tests in my practice as well. Over the time now that when I quit my corporate job, I was adding more skills. I'm constantly learning. So I do stool. I really want to understand their microbiome and gut health, because as we know, all health begins in the gut. Hippocrates said, diseases begin. I want to say health begins in the gut. So I do stool analysis. So that really helps understand, hey, what's going on, that we can really customize it. Then along with that is a food sensitivity test as well, because once those are some similar low-hanging fruits, once our gut is imbalanced, inflammation is there, we build food sensitivity. So those two tests go hand in hand to really help build that bespoke protocol for them. And then accordingly, depending on where they are, hormones testing or blood testing, if it calls, all of those testing really helps me build the protocol and the 6 month plan. And I take it at the pace the person is ready. If they want to be aggressive, it can be aggressive protocol, or we can take it slow. And this has really helped. The first thing my clients, they're always surprised I'm not, they notice is their energy gets better. I have more energy. They don't realize that how they've been operating at low energy. The energy gets better, and then the brain fog goes away, the inflammation goes down, and the weight stops dropping. A lot of them come, they want to lose the weight, but why is the body holding on to weight is a question to ask. So that's how my process is. But yeah, they can reach out to me on my DM or on my Instagram or email. There's a link, set up 30 minutes so we can get to know each other.
Brilliant. What I do is when the episode goes out, I always put the link. So I'll share the link of where they can find you. And do you work with anybody from all over, or is it just people based in California as well?
No, I work all over, even in the US and the UK as well. These tests can be done. It just goes through different companies. So I've had clients in India as well. It just, the process is different. But yeah, absolutely, I can work with clients all over the world.
No, that's brilliant. Well, it's been an absolute honor having you on the show, and shared some really, really interesting stuff, and especially obviously with health, which we all need. Otherwise, we can't function properly when our health is being affected. So thank you so much for being on the show.
No, thank you so much. Yes, sir. The honor is all mine. So appreciate if you're doing this, and you're such an inspiration. Like whenever I see anybody more than one kid out in the world, whether it's a corporate or even seeing at more, I'm like, I bow down. So, thank you for doing and, having this podcast and this community, because we all need it. We're so isolated in our world with behind the computer now. So we don't get to hear the other people's story, and stories are powerful. So thank you for doing this.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your own story. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much.
And thank you.